Now, the picture on the bottom, as you can see, looks very dull. It looks very dull, okay? And what we're gonna do is go in and try to fix it real time. All right, there's no comparison with that picture at the bottom and the picture on the top. You wanna save money on the best tech, value tech sense, value tech sense. Welcome to another video. Welcome to another video. Okay, quick video on the local dimming of the TCL Mini LED TV. On a positive note with this TV, all right, on a very positive note, the brightness is very good. Okay, the brightness is very good. So when the TV gets bright, just like on in movies, when it's bright, it really shines. The problem with the HDR on this TV is the fact that the local dimming is so aggressive that it crushes a lot of details, and not only the details, but the specular highlights. All right, so in this video, we're going to get into the specular highlights. All right, those are very important if you want to have a three-dimensional look. If you want your 4K, your HDR image to look like it's popping off the screen. All right, so I'm going to show you a few examples of how this TV is just overly aggressive with its local dimming, and then I'll show you how that actually affects what you watch. All right, so just some YouTube videos. I don't have the rights to any of these videos, so if I'm not going to play the entire video, but if I get a strike for any of this content, I'll just have to show you this a different kind of way. All right, but this HDR Chroma Galaxies, all right, I'm going to play it from the beginning so you can actually see the HDR kick in on both TVs. All right, HDR just kicked in. I'm going to just pause it right there. As you can see, the TCL is on the bottom, and my Vizio M Series Quantum from 2019 is on the top. You can already see that there are more specular highlights pushing through on the Vizio, and that's because it's a dark scene. Now when the TCL, when the TV gets bright, it will really start to push it out, and it will really start to juice up. But the problem with the HDR on the TCL Mini LED TV is when there's a dark sequence, it wants to aggressively give you those black levels. All right, it wants to, you know, the whole OLED thing, it wants to be dark so bad, but you lose those specular highlights. And those specular highlights is what gives you that 3D pop to your HDR. All right, I'm just going to play this a little more. As you can see, all right, the M8 is punching more with the highlights, punching more. All right, I'm just going to rewind this a little bit so I can show you a little more. Let's see. I'm doing this live so you can see what's happening between the one on the top and the one on the bottom. Let's see if I can pause it right there. All right, so if you look at this as a full picture, as a full image, all right, you can really see where on my Vizio on top, even on that right side, there's a lot of blue that's there, and on the TCL, that blue is just very dark, very dim, and that's the local dimming being very aggressive. All right, even on the other side where you see all the little speckles and highlights, there's a lot more of that going on my M series than on the one on the bottom. All right, I'm going to fast forward this a little bit so we can get to something where the TCL starts to shine, when it starts to really. Here's another scene. All right, there is a lot of details missing on that TCL as far as shadow detail. All right, there's a lot going on in this scene that's just not popping out off of the screen. All right, let me grab this camera real quick. I want to show you this. Let's get up on it, and I'll show you how this affects other stuff that you watch. But these little specks right here, all of this stuff right here, those little bright specks, those are your specular highlights that really make your HDR pop off of the screen. All right, when we come down here to the TCL, all right, that little bright spot right there, it's not as bright as on top, and you're really losing a lot of the details that's going on in this particular scene. Like right here, right in this area right here, all right, you just see a little bit of like little blue light coming through. But if you come up here, you can actually see there's a lot going on right here. All right, and those things that are missing, right, that right there takes away from the overall experience of what you're watching. It does give you a good it's a good looking TV, man. I can't take anything away from it as far as it looking good. Okay, it does look good, but it is missing a lot of details, and that's because it's just overly aggressive with its local dimming. All right, I'm gonna wrap this portion up because I'm gonna show you how these highlights missing, how that really affects things that you watch, especially in HDR. All right, got this commercial playing through. This is a popular LG demo that everybody likes to play when they get a new TV. All right, I'm just gonna show you the difference when you don't have the specular highlights there. All right, it's kicking into HDR. HDR is kicked in. All right, I'm gonna pause it right there. All right, I'm just gonna pause it. Talking about specular highlights and talking about how dim it is. All right. On this scene, and these two scenes are both in sync. All right. I'm gonna go up to the screen. If you look right here, where the fruit is starting to come through, right? It's very dark, right? Very dark, but when the light emerges, right, what gives you that 3D look is the fact that these highlights right here, these specular highlights, are able to come through. All right, so because the TV wants to aggressively make everything dark, these specular highlights don't shine through when they should. Those are the highlights coming through. Down here, very muted. All right, very muted. Let's go back. Let's put the camera back up. We'll let this demo play through a little more. I'm also going to get into some settings a little bit with you guys too, because I have been playing with the TV. I do have some settings that do make this TV look spectacular, but it doesn't help it too much in the dark sequences. That's just the local dimming. You can't fix that. That's just what you got to deal with. But I am working on some settings. All right, I'm going to start playing this video. I'm going to pause it again. As you can see, the one on the bottom is still dim. Okay, still dim. The M8 on the top, because the local dimming is not that aggressive, right? It's already coming through with specular highlights. Again, this won't be a very short video, but I just want to give y'all as much information about this as I can. All right, now if you look on the fruit, all right, these cherries, there's water. Let me get it in focus. All right, you see that water? See those speckles that's on the cherries? Now if you go up here, those speckles are a lot more pronounced. Those are your specular highlights. All right, even on this little grape right here, those little specks, those specular highlights is what makes your HDR leap off the screen. All right, down here, the speckles aren't coming through. That's just because, you know, it's a shadowy scene, and it's brightening up here on the Vizio. Those highlights are shining through. All right, TCL's a brighter TV, but the local dimming has it crippled. All right, let's keep it going. I'm just gonna play a few more scenes from this to show you. All right, let's take a look at this pot right here. All right, let's look at the pot. Now, from far away, the reason I keep grabbing the cameras, because you can't really see what makes that pot leap off the screen. All right, but I'm going to show you real quick. Let's go back to it one more time. If we go down here, right, here's the pot. I just zoomed in. These little scratches on the pot, right? The light is supposed to reflect off of that, and it gives you these little speckles of light, these little specular highlights that really make that leap off the screen. All right. Now, if I go up here to the Vizio, you can really see where those specks are just brighter. They really leap off the screen, even down here. All right, you can see all the little specks, all these little specks, little scratches where the light is reflecting off of it. Those are your specular highlights, right? That gives the image that punch. Down here, it's a bit more muted. All right, a bit more muted. Just gonna keep it going just a little bit because I want to show you all the blooming on here too, because it does bloom, and that's because the mini LEDs, they're not firing off individually. They're actually like pockets of mini LEDs. So it's no different than having a flashlight with one bulb in it, and then having a flashlight with a bunch of LEDs in it. When you turn the light on, all of the light is shining. All right, so the mini LEDs aren't firing off individually, which would actually give it a more OLED effect. That's not how it's working. So as I play this a little more, I'm probably gonna skip some of this. Let me pause it right there. Even as it starts to dim, the specular highlights are still shining through on the Vizio, and they are totally muted on the TCL. All right, but let's fast forward this. I want to go to another scene. Even on, I mean, everything about it, even on this honey part. All right, let me pause that. Even on the honey. All right, what makes this look so great is the fact that you have all those specular highlights. That's what makes the image leap off the screen. All right, let's get down here to the TCL. All right, you can see the honey. You can see the little bubbles inside the honey. All right, I'm gonna step back some. Now, if we go up here to the Vizio, there's a lot more speckles in there. All right, the highlights are a lot brighter. There's a lot more going on in the scene. All right, there's a lot more going on there that gives it that look. Less specular highlights. All right, let's go back a little more. I got one more scene to show you on this, and then we're going to get into a little bit of the picture settings and show you where I think is a good place for you to start if you're starting to mess with your settings. All right, let's keep this moving. There's a part on here. Oh man, the whole demo, I mean, it is just so apparent. All right, because of the specular highlights, the bottle on top looks more 3D. All right, it just looks more 3D. It just leaps off the screen. And the TCL, not so much. All right. And that's because of those specular highlights. That's because those highlights are brighter. The TCLs are brighter TV. Now, if I play something that is not OLED related, if I play something that is not dark, if I play a demo where the whole demo is bright, this TCL will, it definitely looks a lot better than the M series. But where this TV is shortfall is its local dimming. All right. It's not able to give you those specular highlights. And we're going to get into that. There's a part on here where there's a bottle. All right, here it is right here. All right, so look at this bottle. Look at the bottle on the bottom toward the neck area, and look at the one on the top. A lot of those specular highlights are missing. That takes away from your three-dimensional image. And that's just because the TV wants to give you this OLED effect, all right? But it's sacrificing picture quality. All right, here's another scene where this is going to just turn red, and you're just going to see the black background, and you're just going to see the little red speckles. All right, let me pause that right there. There's definitely a lot more going on the top than there is at the bottom. All right. A lot more going on. I'm going to jump into the picture settings, and I'm actually going to show you what's going on with the local dimming. All right, let me grab the remotes. Okay, so I have both remotes here. All right, as you can see, the blooming around that that area where those speckles are, the blooming is because all of this whole entire area right here is where the LEDs are. So because it wants to have that OLED look, it completely tries to shed off everything around it, and what happens is it illuminates the backlight, especially at an angle. All right, but I mean, on axis you can still see the blooming around it, okay, but it is darker. It is darker than the M8. All right, the blacks on these sides are darker, but the difference with the M8 is, even though it's more gray along here, it's gray all the way across. It's a full gray look, so it's uniform. So you don't, the blooming is not as pronounced like it is down here. This has definitely got a deeper black level, but because it dims it down so much, the blooming's more apparent. All right. Now I'll show you how these local dimming, how they work and how they work differently. All right. Gonna go into the picture settings. Let's just go down to more picture. Right now the active full array is on medium. I turn it down to low. It definitely it dimmed down the whole backlight, but the entire backlight is uniform. If I turn it off, that's local dimming turned off. All right, that's on low. All right, so on the Vizio, you go into the picture settings. Let's go to more picture. All right, let's turn active full array off. You can see that all of the LEDs are on. The local dimming is not engaged. The entire picture shows up. All right. Now if I go in here and let's go back to more picture, and I turn the local dimming on, it dims the entire picture. That's low, that's medium, that's high. It brightened it. It brightened up the highlights. All right. Turn it on medium. Take it down to low. That's medium, that's high, medium, and low. All right, so with local dimming turned to low, you still get a uniform picture. All right, with highlights. It's a uniform picture. Okay, that's the difference in how the local dimming works. Now if I go down here to the TCL, which is very aggressive. All right, and you can see that blooming because it's not a uniform picture. All right, let's go differently. Let's see, still getting used to this remote, guys. Let's see what we got. Here we go. Now you can see how the blooming just shows up. I'll go in front of it. All right, I'm at an angle, so from the front it is not that apparent. All right, from the front it doesn't show up that much, but we're gonna go from the front. We're in dark HDR. I'll show you why I prefer that mode, but for everyone that's curious about it, normal HDR, bright HDR. Okay, the bright HDR, as you can see, that's gaming. The bright HDR really pumps out the brightness. All right, and when it pumps out that brightness, it pumps out more blooming. All right, and I'm going to go through all of these settings with you guys, each one, bright, dark HDR, and why I prefer the dark HDR over all of them, because the bright HDR clips your highlights, and I'm going to show you that on the next clip. But let's get back to go back to the one that I prefer, which is the dark HDR. Trying to get the best picture out of it. Picture settings, local contrast on high. Now, when you turn that off, entire screen blows up. All right, this is on, that's off. That's high, off. All right. Even on low, you can still see that all the backlights are on. On medium, it dims it down a bit, but really, I mean, there's no comparison. Here's low. Now I left the Vizios on low. This is low, that's medium, that's high. So you really want to keep it on high if you want black levels, because even with local contrast, right? Local contrast, that's where we're at. With local contrast on the medium, the backlight is way too bright. All right, so a lot of people that are trying to fix the black crushing issue, when they try to adjust the local contrast to get a better picture, that's why you start seeing all this flashlighting that you're seeing in people's reviews. All right, that's why, I mean, all of that blooming, all of the flashlighting, that is because if you really want the blackest blacks on this TV, you have to keep your local contrast on high. There's just no way around that. All right, so especially if you're in HDR. All right, SDR is another story altogether. We're going to get into that. But let's go back to local contrast. We'll put that on high. Your black levels return. All right, so local contrast on high is where you really want to keep it if you really want to keep the black level. All right, but it dims it down so much that it does show up. You will get this blooming. All right, this is a uniform black picture. That's not uniform at all. All right, so got one more part to show y'all about these specular highlights and how this local dimming affects your overall HDR picture. I'll be right back. Okay, now this video right here, I'm actually not gonna play the entire video. I'm just gonna play it until it begins, so I can show you why I prefer dark HDR on this TV, because the other HDR modes, they clip the highlights. All right, I'm just gonna start it, and when it starts, I am going to pause it. All right, I do the videos real time, so we gotta watch the commercial. I can't skip it. All right, we're gonna wait for the TVs to go into their HDR modes, and then we're gonna break it down. All right, HDR has kicked in. Let me pause that. Let me start it over. All right, I'm gonna pause it right there. All right, I'm gonna pause it. Now, the picture on the bottom, as you can see, looks very dull. It looks very dull, okay? And what we're gonna do is go in and try to fix it real time. All right, there's no comparison with that picture at the bottom and the picture on the top. All right, but let's go alpha dark HDR. Let's juice it up. Still dull and normal. Bright HDR. Okay, bright HDR. It really brought out the brightness. All right, the picture has leaped off of the screen. All right, but let me show you the problem with the bright HDR. All right, let's get down here and let me show you what's going on with this picture. All right, so I want you to look at the makeup on her eyes on the TCL, and there is no detail there. It's just a blotch of yellow. All right, let's go up here on the Vizio, and you can see that it's actually makeup. You can see the shading because it's not clipped. All right, you can see the shading. All right, so we'll go back down here. I'm going to go into picture settings, and I just did a video on contrast on this TV. I'll go into the picture settings. Contrast is on 100. Let's start breaking that down and watch what happens to the makeup on her face. All right, we're still dropping the contrast. Makeup on her face, it kind of helped it a little bit, but not so much. Contrast on 0. All right, let's juice this back up to where it was before on 100, and I'll show you why I like the dark HDR. Confusing TV, man. It shouldn't be this hard to get your TV to look right. Should not be this hard. All right, bright HDR. Now let me go to normal HDR. Fixed it a little bit, but on dark HDR, all of the detail is there on her makeup. This is normal. That's bright. It's clipped. Bring it down to normal. Bring it down to dark. See, on normal, I mean, she looks dead. All right, on here is juiced up, but it's clipped. Right there on normal, not so good. Dark HDR gives her some skin tone, and these yellow highlights are not clipped. You can actually see the shading in her face. All right, but again, because this TV wants to, and you can see the haloing around her body. Again, you have to keep the local dimming very dark. All right, you have to keep it on high if you want these black levels, and that's at the expense of having this halo around her. Okay, she's gonna have a halo around her. There's just a halo there, but you do get the black. You do get the black levels. You get the black levels, but she has the halo. These black levels aren't as dark as these. They are gray, but it's a uniform picture, so you get no halo. All right. So from the front, you don't see any haloing because it's just a uniform black picture. Down here, you will get haloing because you're getting a deeper black level. All right. So anyway, back to specular highlights. If we get down here and we look at her hair, I can get really close. You can start to see her hair. You can start to see the little curls in her hair. But the specular highlights that are missing, those little specks of light that makes this leap off the screen, is what's missing. That's why it looks very flat to me. All right, it's a very flat image. Now if I go up here up top, what makes this leap off the screen is these little specks, these little specular highlights. All right, where the light is actually reflecting off of her hair, giving you that 3D image. And her paint is not clipping. Skin tone looks better. It's just a better picture altogether. You can just see it. You can see where the light is on top of her head in this photo shoot. Down here, it's just a dark image. All right. So I am still working with this TV. Let me see if I can get this back on here. Get it back in focus. I'm still working with the TV. I have been messing with the settings. I can't get the app, the calibrator app, to work for me as of yet. So I guess I'll just call TCL's customer service and see if I can do something to get that to work. But as of right now, especially on dark scenes, all right, now we're going to get into the positives of the TCL 6 series. All right, everything about the TV is not bad, but there are just things that just are deal breakers for me. All right, that it shouldn't be this hard just to get a balanced picture out of the TV. All right, so I'm going to end this video on that note. As far as the local dimming, gets a big thumbs down from me. All right, thumbs down is terrible. All right, for the local dimming. All right, it's too aggressive, and it crushes specular highlights, crushes details, crushes colors. Just not happy with the way it's performing. All right, for everybody that wants to know why I'm comparing this TV to last year's TV, this TV was a phenomenal TV for the money last year. There's a lot of people in my comment section who bought this TV on the strength of my videos. All those people that bought this TV, this is what you're getting, and this is what you have in your home. There's people in my comment section that recently bought this M8 in a 65-inch for under $400, all right, and got warranties on them. I mean, that's just, I'm about value, all right. TCL, I'm still making my value assessment on it. We have not dove into the THX gaming mode yet. We're strictly right now dealing with picture quality, and I'm trying to like the TV, all right? When it's bright, phenomenal. Dark scenes gets an F, all right? More videos on the way, man. Thanks for watching.